Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today's topic is one I know will strike a chord with all of you. Education and exams. These two words bring up memories of classrooms, textbooks, nervous nights before tests, and maybe even a few tears or laughs. To explore this topic in detail, I've invited Mia, who has her own treasure chest of exam stories. Hi, Mia.
Hi, Alex. Hi, listeners. I'm so excited to be here. Honestly, the moment you said exams, I could feel a wave of nostalgia and stress at the same time. They've shaped so much of our childhood, teenage years, and even adulthood.
Exactly. Exams are like a universal childhood trauma, but also a source of endless stories. So let's begin at the very beginning. Do you remember your first ever exam?
Yes! I must have been around 7 years old. It was a small math test. The teacher asked us to write the multiplication table of 7. I remember sitting there, pencil in hand, and suddenly my mind went completely blank. I knew it so well at home, but at that moment the numbers just slipped away. I sat there staring at the page, pretending to write while actually writing nothing.
Ha ha, that is so relatable. My first was a spelling test. I had practiced so hard and I was super confident. But then the word elephant came up, and guess what? My brain froze. I wrote elephant instead. The teacher chuckled and said, "Alex, elephants live in zoos, but not in dictionaries with that spelling."
Haha, poor Alex. But that's exactly the power exams have. They can make you forget things you know perfectly well.
Do you remember the atmosphere of exam halls? That heavy silence, the sound of pens scratching, and the invigilator's intimidating footsteps.
Oh, yes, it was nerve-wracking. I remember once during an exam, it was so quiet that when my pencil fell, the sound echoed across the hall. Everyone turned to stare at me. I wanted to disappear.
Haha, I've been there. And then there were always those students who wrote like machines. Their pens moved so fast it sounded like a typewriter. That used to give me so much anxiety.
Exactly. And don't even get me started on the students who asked for extra answer sheets. I'd barely be halfway through page 1 and they'd be calling for a second sheet. I used to think, oh no, I'm doomed.
Yes. And when someone actually finished early and walked out before time, my heart would sink. I'd think, I must be failing.
Ah! The irony is that half the time those students weren't even toppers. They just wrote fast, not necessarily well.
The days before exams were interesting too. The entire household atmosphere would change.
Absolutely. Suddenly, TV time was banned, playtime was canceled, and even visiting relatives was forbidden. My house practically turned into a study jail.
Ha 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 ha! Same here. My parents would hide the TV remote and change the Wi-Fi password. My mom always said, no distractions until exams are over.
Yes, and let's not forget the food. My mom would force me to drink milk every night saying, it will make your brain sharp. I secretly believed milk companies had a secret deal with parents.
Ha ha, exactly. And then there was that night before exam panic when you realize you still have 5 chapters left. You suddenly pray for supernatural powers thinking, maybe I can learn 10 chapters in 3 hours.
Oh, yes, and there was always that one friend who'd call you the night before and say, "Don't worry, only 2 chapters are important." And of course, the exam would be full of everything except those 2 chapters.
Haha, oh my god, that friend exists in every batch.
Alex, what's your funniest exam hall incident?
Oh, ninth grade. The hall was silent, and suddenly my stomach growled so loudly that everyone turned and stared at me. Even the teacher raised an eyebrow. After that, I always carried a chocolate bar to exams.
Ha, that's priceless. Mine was when I was so nervous during a science exam that I accidentally wrote my best friend's name on my paper instead of mine. The teacher asked, "Mia, are you giving the exam for her?" I was mortified.
Ha ha ha, that's hilarious. But see, it's these little moments that make exams unforgettable.
Behind all these funny stories, though, the truth is that exams carried so much weight. Teachers would always say, "This exam will decide your future." For a 15-year-old, that's terrifying.
Exactly. I remember before board exams, schools plastered motivational posters everywhere saying, "Success in exams equals success in life." It really felt like one bad day could ruin everything.
Yes, and now as adults, we realize that wasn't true. Exams are important, but they're not everything. Still, at that age, they felt like life or death.
Absolutely. I wish schools had told us exams matter, but they're only one step in your journey.
Yeah!
Do you remember any particular exam that felt like your worst nightmare?
Yes! My 10th grade science final. I stayed up all night revising, but the first question was from a chapter I'd skipped. My heart sank. I spent the first 10 minutes panicking.
Oh, that's the worst. For me, it was my 12th grade math exam. I had focused on quadratic equations, but the paper was mostly geometry and probability. I felt betrayed by the universe.
Haha. It really does feel like examiners have a secret camera in your house watching what you didn't study.
Yes, like they know your weakest spots.
Yes.
You know, Mia, another thing about exams was the invigilators. Some were so strict they made you feel like a criminal entering the hall.
Yes! They'd check your pockets, your pencil box, even flip through your question paper suspiciously. Once, an invigilator in my school even asked a girl to open her water bottle to make sure she hadn't hidden notes inside.
Haha, that's intense. In my school, there was this one teacher who always walked around with a ruler in hand. If anyone even glanced sideways, she'd tap the desk sharply with it. That sound still haunts me.
Ha ha ha, oh no. But you know what, Alex? Despite all that strictness, students always found creative ways to cheat.
Oh yes, the art of cheating. I remember kids writing formulas on their palms, hiding tiny chits in socks, or using water bottle labels to sneak in notes.
Exactly. In my class, one student actually tried to use a pencil case with a hidden sliding panel where he'd kept notes. It worked until the invigilator accidentally dropped the case and the notes spilled everywhere. The poor guy turned red.
Haha, I bet the whole class gasped.
We did. And then the invigilator lectured us all for 15 minutes on honesty before resuming the exam.
Do you remember the chaos right before entering the exam hall? The corridor outside was like a mini battlefield.
Oh, yes. Everyone would be holding notebooks, frantically reading, shouting formulas or definitions at each other. Some students were so confident, and others looked pale as ghosts.
I was always the one trying to cram the last 2 pages while my friend confidently said, "Relax, you'll be fine."
Yeah, and then there was that one person who'd dramatically say, "I didn't study anything," but then go inside and score top marks.
Oh, the I know nothing topper. Every batch had one. They'd stress everyone else out for no reason.
Exactly. Meanwhile, I'd be repeating definitions under my breath like some kind of chant.
Haha, same. I once whispered so loudly that the teacher asked me to keep quiet before the exam even started.
Speaking of stress, parents really added their own layer of pressure.
Absolutely. My dad would wake me up at 5 a.m. on exam days saying, "Successful people wake up early." I was like, "Dad, I just need sleep."
Haha. My mom used to stand outside my room quizzing me while I brushed my teeth. Imagine being asked chemical equations with toothpaste in your mouth.
Haha. Oh my God, that's hilarious. And then after exams, the first question was never, "How are you feeling?" It was always, "How many marks will you get?"
Yes! And if you said anything below 90, the disappointment on their faces was real.
Not just parents, neighbors too. My aunt once asked me in front of everyone at a family gathering, "So Alex, what's your expected rank?" I wanted to vanish.
Hey. Oh yes, relatives have a way of making exams their personal entertainment.
Did you ever do group study sessions?
Oh yes, many times. Though honestly, half the time we ended up eating snacks and gossiping instead of studying.
Haha, exactly. Group studies were always 30% studying and 70% everything else. We once spent 2 hours arguing about which superhero would do best in exams, Batman or Iron Man, and realized we hadn't opened a single book.
Haha, that's brilliant. In my group, we once tried teaching each other as a way to study, but one friend kept making up answers with such confidence that we believed her, until we failed that section together.
Haha, oh no, the confident but wrong friend. I had one of those too.
You know what else was funny? The weird superstitions everyone followed during exams.
Oh yes, like wearing a lucky shirt or carrying a particular pen. I had a famous lucky pen I used in every exam. If it ever ran out of ink, I'd panic.
Haha, I had a lucky hairband. I wore it for all my major tests. Looking back, it was ridiculous, but at that time it gave me confidence.
Exactly. It's not about the object, it's about the reassurance. Some students even avoided washing their lucky socks until exams were over.
Yeah, you. But true, I also knew someone who always ate the same breakfast before every exam. 2 bananas and a glass of milk. He believed it boosted memory.
That's dedication. For me, my ritual was rewriting formulas on a fresh sheet the morning of the exam. It was like a confidence booster.
And then, after the exam, came the dreaded post-mortem analysis with friends.
Yes, everyone would gather outside the hall comparing answers. I hated it because it made me realize all the mistakes I had made.
Same! Same. I used to avoid those discussions. I'd just say, don't tell me the answers, let me stay in peace.
Haha. Yes, because once you know you got something wrong, you can't change it. You just stress until results come.
Exactly. But some friends loved it. They'd argue over every single question like it was a courtroom trial.
Ha ha ha, yes. And there was always that one person who insisted, no, I'm 100% sure the answer is option C. And later, when results came, option C was completely wrong.
Oh yes, I know that type very well.
And of course, results day was a drama of its own.
Oh yes. Refreshing the website 100 times, praying before opening the mark sheet, heart racing.
And parents standing behind you like hawks, waiting to see your marks before you even process them.
Haha, yes, and then immediately comparing your marks with neighbors' kids or cousins.
Exactly. It was never just about your performance. It was about how you ranked in the family scoreboard.
So true. Results Day was less about celebration and more about survival.
Mia, no matter where you grow up, one thing is universal: the stress that comes with exams.
Oh yes. Exam stress is like a dark cloud that hangs over every student's head. I remember during my board exams, I literally lost weight because I was too anxious to eat. Even water tasted heavy in my mouth.
Wow, I can imagine. For me, it was sleepless nights. I'd lie awake rehearsing formulas in my head. The irony is, the less I slept, the less I remembered.
Exactly. Sleep deprivation was almost considered a badge of honor. Students used to brag, I only slept 2 hours last night. And we thought that was dedication, when in reality it was self-destruction.
Yes, it's wild how exam culture almost normalizes unhealthy habits.
And let's be honest, parents often added fuel to the fire.
So Mia, what did you personally do to cope with exam stress?
Music was my therapy. Before studying, I'd listen to calm songs to steady my nerves, and I had this little system of rewarding myself, like, finish this chapter and you get a cookie.
Haha, cookies as motivation. For me, it was sports. I'd take half an hour to play basketball, and it cleared my head better than any revision.
Yes! Physical activity really helps. Sadly, most parents say, stop playing during exams. But actually, a short break can increase productivity.
Exactly. Balance is key. Locking yourself in a room for 12 hours with books is a recipe for burnout.
You know what else students did? Weird superstitions.
Oh yes, I had my famous lucky pen. I used it in every important exam. If it ran out of ink, I panicked.
Haha, I had a lucky hairband. I wore it for every exam. Ridiculous, but it gave me comfort.
Exactly. It's not about the object, it's about reassurance. One of my friends even wore the same pair of socks through an entire exam season because he thought they were lucky.
Haha, that's both gross and hilarious.
One thing we don't talk about enough is burnout. Students often push themselves for 14 hours of study, then walk into exams too exhausted to think clearly.
Yes! I once pulled an all-nighter before my math paper, and the next morning my brain was mush. I couldn't even remember simple formulas.
Same. I realized later that a full night of sleep is worth more than one extra chapter at 3 a.m.
Absolutely, a tired brain is a useless brain.
Stress didn't just affect us physically, it took an emotional toll too.
Yes! Students often tie their self-worth to their marks. A bad grade feels like a personal failure. I knew brilliant artists and athletes who thought they were worthless just because they scored average in math.
That's heartbreaking, and sometimes the pressure has tragic consequences. I've read news stories of students who couldn't handle the stress and gave up on life.
Yes, and that shows how dangerous it is to treat marks as the sole measure of success. We need to tell students, you are more than your grades.
Exactly. Exams are just one chapter in life, not the whole book.
I remember one classmate who was so stressed about her board exams that she fainted outside the exam hall. The pressure was just too much.
Oh, wow. I had a friend who vomited before every exam, not because he was sick, but because his anxiety literally made him nauseous.
That's awful. And yet nobody around us said this stress is not normal. We were expected to just push through.
Yes, back then mental health wasn't talked about. Admitting you were anxious was seen as weakness.
Thankfully, things are slowly changing now. Schools are hiring counselors, parents are becoming more aware, and conversations like this are happening.
True, that's progress, but we still have a long way to go.
Yeah!
Let's talk about tuition and coaching classes. That's an entire universe by itself.
Oh, yes. In exam-heavy countries like India and China, coaching centers are like factories. You finish school, eat something quickly, and then rush to coaching class. It's like having two schools in one day.
Exactly. I used to attend evening tuition for math, and you know what? Half the class went just because the tutor gave better notes than the school teacher.
Yes! Coaching teachers often had this aura of being exam whisperers. They'd say, "Mark my words, this topic will come in the paper." And we trusted them more than our textbooks.
Haha, true. And sometimes they were right. I once scored really well because my tutor literally predicted 3 of the 5 main questions.
Lucky you! My coaching teacher always said everything is important. That was zero help.
Haha, classic. But you know, the culture of coaching also created crazy competition. Like students from 5 different schools sitting together, all eyeing each other like rivals.
Yes, I remember the awkward tension. If someone solved a problem quickly, everyone else suddenly felt dumber. It was peer pressure magnified 10 times.
Let's talk about peer pressure. Honestly, exams turned friends into competitors.
Yes. You'd walk into the hall smiling at your friend, but deep down you were thinking, I have to score higher than you.
Ha ha ha! Exactly! And then when marks came out, the whole friendship temporarily turned into a scoreboard.
Yes, and it wasn't even about real rivalry, it was just the system. Teachers would compare students publicly. Look, Alex scored 90. Why can't the rest of you do the same?
Ugh, yes. That public shaming in class was brutal. Instead of motivating, it just made students feel humiliated.
And parents did the same thing at home. Sharma's son got 95, why can't you? Poor Sharma's son was unknowingly the villain of my childhood.
Haha, same. Every neighborhood had a Sharma, Gupta, or Patel kid who was supposedly perfect.
Now, Alex, let's admit something. Every student has their own exam hacks. What was yours?
Ha 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 ha. Okay, confession time. My hack was selective studying. I'd analyze past question papers and only study the topics that appeared most frequently. Risky, but sometimes it worked.
Ha ha ha. That's smart. Mine was color coding. I'd highlight notes with different colors and trick my brain into remembering things visually. For example, history dates were always in red.
That's clever. Another hack was mnemonic devices. For example, to remember the planets, we'd say, "My very educated mother just served us noodles."
Yes. Mnemonics saved me in biology. For the taxonomy hierarchy, I still remember King Philip came over for good soup.
Haha, the same. And then there were hacks during the exam itself, like writing really fast in the first half just to make the teacher think you were confident.
Yes, presentation hacks. Underline everything, draw neat diagrams, leave margins. Half the battle was making your paper look good.
So true. Some students wrote in handwriting so neat it looked like a printed book. Teachers probably gave them extra marks just for that.
We talked about cheating earlier, but I think every class had some legendary cheating story.
Oh yes, in my class, one student tried to write answers on the inside of his water bottle label, but he got caught when the teacher asked for a sip of water and noticed the tiny handwriting.
Haha, that's golden. In my school, a guy tried to hide chits inside his calculator cover. Unfortunately, he forgot to remove them afterward, and when the teacher borrowed his calculator to check something, the chits fell out.
Ha ha ha! Oh no, caught red-handed. Honestly, those stories were more entertaining than the exams themselves.
But behind the humor, let's admit, and the competition was exhausting.
Yes, it wasn't just about passing. It was about ranking. Top 3, top 10, school topper. Students were measured like racehorses.
Exactly. And the saddest part? It killed creativity. Some brilliant dancers, musicians, or writers lost confidence just because they weren't exam toppers.
Yes, and sometimes even toppers weren't happy. They lived under constant pressure to maintain their position.
So true. Success had its own stress, failure had another. Basically, no one escaped the exam monster.
Let's lighten this up. Did you ever have that moment when you wrote something so ridiculous in an exam that even you laughed later?
Oh yes. Once in a biology exam, I forgot the function of the pancreas, so I just wrote, "Pancreas is very important and helps the human body survive." That was my entire answer.
Haha, that's brilliant. For me, it was history. I couldn't remember a king's name, so I just wrote, "This king contributed a lot to society and built many things." That was my whole answer.
Ha ha! The art of writing nothing in 50 words. Every student masters it at some point.
Yes, and sometimes it even worked. Partial marks for effort.
Yeah.
So, Mia, we've shared childhood exam nightmares, compared global systems, laughed about group studies and hacks, and dived deep into stress. But let's look forward now. What do you think the future of education and exams looks like?
Honestly, Alex, I think the future is going to look very different from what we experienced. Technology is already reshaping classrooms. Online learning, hybrid models, Even AI tutors are stepping in. And exams? They're evolving too.
Yes, during the pandemic, we saw schools move online almost overnight. Students were giving exams on laptops at their dining tables. That shift alone showed us how flexible the system can be.
Exactly. And I think in the future, the format of exams will change even more than the content. Online exams, open book assessments, and project-based evaluations will become common.
That's a huge point. Right now, most exams still test memory, but in the real world, knowledge is at your fingertips. You can Google anything. What matters is whether you can apply knowledge.
Yes! Future exams should focus on skills, critical thinking, creativity, problem-solving, collaboration. Imagine being tested on how you solve real-world problems, not just how well you memorized a definition.
Exactly. Instead of, what year did this battle happen? The question could be, why was this battle significant and what lessons can we apply today? That's deeper learning.
Yes, and also practical life skills. I memorized trigonometry formulas in school, but no one taught me how to file taxes or apply for a job interview.
Ha ha, yes, exactly. A life skills exam would be more useful sometimes than advanced calculus.
AI will play a massive role. Imagine every student having a personal AI tutor. It learns your style. If you're visual, it shows you diagrams. If you're auditory, it explains things out loud. If you're hands-on, it gives you interactive problems.
That would be revolutionary. It's like every student getting a customized education.
Yes, and exams could also become adaptive. Instead of everyone sitting the same paper, AI could generate questions that adjust in difficulty based on your answers. That way, it measures your true ability.
Wow, that would solve the problem of easy year versus hard year papers. Everyone would get a fair challenge.
Exactly.
Do you think physical schools will become less important?
Not less important, but different. Physical schools will always matter because education is about more than books. It's about socializing, teamwork, learning to live with others. But virtual reality could add a new layer. Imagine learning history by walking through a VR simulation of ancient Rome, or studying biology by exploring a 3D model of the human body.
That would be amazing. Students would actually experience knowledge instead of just reading it.
Yes, learning by immersion instead of memorization. That's where the future is heading.
Another area that excites me is inclusivity. The current system isn't fair to everyone.
Absolutely. Students with learning disabilities or those from underprivileged backgrounds often fall behind. But technology can level the playing field. Text-to-speech for visually impaired students, translation tools for language barriers, personalized pacing for those who need more time.
Yes, and exams too could adapt. Some students may perform better in oral exams, others in practical tasks. The idea that everyone must be judged the same way is outdated.
Exactly. Diversity in assessment methods is key.
Do you think exams will even exist in the future? Or will they be replaced by portfolios and projects?
I think exams will still exist, but not in the same way. Portfolios and projects will become equally important. Imagine a student applying to university not with a single grade, but with a portfolio showing essays, projects, creative work, and problem-solving challenges.
That makes so much sense. It shows what a student can do, not just what they can remember.
Yes! For example, a student studying environmental science could be asked to create a local sustainability project instead of writing a 3-hour exam. That proves real skill.
And it also makes learning exciting. Exams wouldn't feel like punishment anymore, but an opportunity to create.
Also, think about how jobs are changing. Many future careers don't even exist yet, so why are we still testing students on 19th century style exams?
Great point. Employers already value skills more than grades. They want to see portfolios, teamwork ability, innovation. Schools and exams will have to catch up.
Yes! The future is about adaptability. The students who thrive will be those who can learn continuously, not just pass one exam.
So Mia, if you could go back and redesign your own education, what would you change?
I'd definitely reduce rote memorization. I'd add more creative projects, more life skills, and most importantly, mental health support. Students should learn how to cope with stress as much as they learn equations.
I love that. For me, I'd change the way failure is treated. Failing an exam shouldn't mean failing in life. It should just be feedback, a step on the journey.
Yes, that lesson alone could save so many students from despair.
Well, Mia, this has been an incredible conversation. From childhood exam nightmares to futuristic AI classrooms, we've covered so much.
It's been amazing, Alex. I hope students listening feel less alone and maybe even excited about the future of learning.
That's the goal. And to all our listeners, remember, your marks don't define your worth. Education is about growth, curiosity, and becoming the best version of yourself. Exams are just one part of that journey.
Beautifully said.
And with that, we'll wrap up this episode. Thank you for joining us, Mia.
Thank you, Alex, and goodbye, everyone.